Little theology on Thursday. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 27. Back in Genesis 1 again. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Verse 28 goes on to give us the jobs of people, the jobs of God's image bearers, to be the ones to rule the world, to be the ones to subdue the world, basically to be him here. And we know in chapter 3 of Genesis that story goes awry. That job goes defunct with the deception and the rebellion of man. And the remainder of Scripture is a plea to restore back to that original image of God that man was created to be. And we have that in Jesus. I want to go to the book of Colossians and then to the book of Ephesians as we look at some of the writings of Paul to kind of help us get an understanding for what it means to restore that image of God. In Colossians chapter 2, verse 9, it says, "For in him the whole fullness of deity dwells bodily." He's talking about Jesus here, the most accurate representation of the image of God that we can find. He will, as we read on, we'll find out that he has the authority and he has the rule, which is why following him and doing what he did helps to lead us back to that image of God that he was. It's harder to find a more accurate representation of God than God himself in flesh. And so if we continue on in verse 10, reading several verses here, it says, "You have been filled in him who is the head of all who rule and authority, with all rule and authority. In him also you were circumcised with a circumcision made without hands, by putting off the body of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ, having been buried with him in baptism, in which you were also raised with him through faith in the powerful working of God who raised him from the dead. And you, who were dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, God made alive together with him, having forgiven us all our trespasses by canceling the record of the debt that stood against us with its legal demands. This he set aside, nailing it to the cross." We restore the image of God in ourselves by doing what he did. We die. We die to ourselves just as he died. We raise just as he raised from the dead. We raise and we live a renewed life. And we go with him. And we go with him to accomplish the mission of the Father. That same mission that we started out to do in Genesis chapter 1. We have that same mission today of being God in this world, being his image in this world. He sent his son to show us what that image looks like in today's world. And we as his followers strive to be that. We strive to be his image for the world around us. Paul would go on to say in Ephesians chapter 4, to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life, and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. It's time to take off the old humanity. Take off what was full of lies, full of ungodliness, full of ungodly desires, of hate, and instead put on the things that are new. Put on the things that show the image of God. Put on the things that show the image of Christ. Be him here. Call of Christians today is to live as if we are the likeness of God. That's how he created you to be. That's what Jesus restores you to be. And that's how a follower of Christ chooses to live. It's time to be Christ, to be the image of God here. That's some theology on Thursday. Hope you have a great day.